Hey, and welcome back everyone to another session of How to Build in No Man's Sky. Today we will focus on building the perfect sphere, which is an extension of the perfect circle. Now this technique takes some time, so pull in a chair for this one. I have already prepared my circle, which consists out of 32 sides. You can use the perfect circle technique for this one. Make sure you extend your circle 9 tiles from the center. Once the circle is built and extended accordingly, you can now adjacency small floors from the glass floors like so. After all the small floors have been glitched in, you can now place light floors on the inside of the circle. Make sure the marked line is directed to the outside of the circle. Now we only need to prepare a center connector. We can do that by extending one light floor towards the center of the circle. Once the central light floor is positioned, we can delete the other ones. Now we can pull a wire from the central light floor to one of the light floors on the edge. As you can see, once we delete the central light floor, the wire will remain and it's perfectly centered and level. By inspecting the connector's symbol, you can see that the top of the wire is directed to the right of the screen. This means that a Blender glitch will be directed towards that side. So let us select a biodome from the build menu and Blender glitch it on top of the central connection. As you can see, this results in the biodome nicely centered and glitched along the wire. The plan is to do this technique on each and every angle of these light floors. But before we do that, we need to build our first arch. From here we are back to the same technique as we would build a perfect circle, so just adjacency from the gamma width to the hydroponics tray. I will do this quickly, but if you're not aware of how to build a perfect circle, then check out the link on top of the screen. Once the first 5 trays have been glitched, you can now pull wires each time from the bottom tray to the 4 remaining ones. After that, we delete the trays and then glitch another 4 in between the wires. Once again, we now pull from the central connector to the other 4 trays. This should result in you having 8 wires in equal angles from the central connection. If this is what you have as well, you can delete the biodome. This should leave you with 8 wires as seen here. Now we will start Blender glitching floor tiles on the central connector. As you can see, the connector shows in which direction your first glitch will be. We are currently glitching on the bottom short wire. Once the first floor is glitched, we can now extend from the floor in 4 directions. 5 floors in each direction is perfect. Now, if we do this on each of those wires, we will create once again a perfect circle, this time horizontal and in line with the first light floor. Now, as you can see, the 2 floors of the first circle are pointed in the same direction. That means if I continue this sphere, I will end up with 2 circles where the floors are directed towards each other. While for one technique this is not an issue, the technique I am using will actually need the floors to be directed differently. So let me delete the floors again, except the one floor that follows the wire. Now, if you're planning on using my technique, which I will show you in a bit, you can only create half a circle, and that means to glitch and extend the floor along the wire and then direct it 90 degrees to the right side of the wire. Once the floors are in place, we can now delete the center floor, the wire we glitched on, and the other floors except the outer ones. And we can do this along each of these wires until we have created a perfect half circle. As this half circle perfectly lines up with the wire and following each of the coming wires, we can now see how a perfect sphere will start to form. Okay, the first section is done, still 31 to go. So let's pull a new wire from the center and then remove the previous wire. Now we do again repeat the same technique from biodome, trays, wires and another circle. So I will be finishing up the sphere and I will see you back in a bit. Now, before we continue though, as you can see, I already did my second half circle here, and I wanted to show you that it's only needed to do the top floor once, as all the other floors will just replace that one. So you only need to do one direction with the last wire. Alright, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, we just finished with the scaffolding part of the sphere. This took me roughly 4 hours to finish, so this is quite an intensive project. I am not sure how this compares time-wise with the use of the Olo or Facta curve, but the results speak for itself. Now let's have a look at the bottom of the sphere, so you can understand for later reference how the sphere can be used. As we have used half the circle for this and the biodome glitches on top of the wire, you can see that the line of the floors are a little offset. Now this is ideal for the technique I will be using. Also, by using the half circle, we can see that all the floors are pointed into a similar direction, so none of them are facing each other. Further, the floors are connected tightly together, which means that it's already the ideal size of your sphere or dome. There are a few ways you can build a sphere from that, and I will show you 2 basics of it. For the first technique I will show you, you could have easily decided to make a complete circle instead of half circles, because with this technique it does not matter in which direction your floor is faced. Using the full circle will for sure reduce the build time of the scaffolding, but then again it might take more time to do the second part of this sphere. It will all be up to your skills and the results you are aiming for. We can start with placing a paving on the inside of this floor. Once the paving is placed, we can now position another paving on top and adjacency to a cylinder. Now we do this along a few floor tiles. Once that is done, we can delete the pavings and then snap a cube on the bottom of the cylinder. Using this technique and afterwards deleting the floors will result in a sphere made out of cubes, which then can be finished off by wire or blender glitching floors on the outside of the cubes. However, there is another technique I prefer, as it opens more possibilities and it also feels quicker and more precise. So let's adjacency from a glass floor to a small tile at the inner circle. If you are planning on using this technique, you could have actually prepared the small floor during the creation of the half circles. Now if I would reverse engineer this, you can see that if I would have started from the center with 4 floors and then adjacency the 5th one to a small floor tile, that would have made my sphere straight out of small floor panels. In this example, we will be deleting the outside floor afterwards. So I will be doing that and then I see you again once I'm done with that. Now it is time to prepare the next step of the sphere. On the outside of the sphere, we will now snap light floors on the floor tiles. Keep in mind that these light floors affect your blender glitch depending on its direction. So we must make sure we rotate and place them correctly. The blinking light here tells us the glitch will now be directed upwards. As we want the surface to be glitched properly, we have to rotate the light floor with the blinking light towards the sphere's core. That way the later on glitched floors will be facing in the correct direction. So now we need to place light floors with the marked line in this direction on each of the floor panels. Now I will quickly show you how this works, and then after I showed you that, I will continue with finishing up the sphere. Now after the light floors have been placed, we can blender glitch floors, be it solid or glass, on the connectors of the floor lights. This will result in a nice smooth curved surface that would create a perfect looking sphere. You might have noticed the floors look a little offset, and you are right. As you can see, the connector of the light floors are not centered on your circle. However, as you might remember, the floor is not totally centered as well. It was slightly offset at the beginning. So while the result is not 100% equally divided, it definitely will look great. Once you are finished with your sphere, you can now easily remove the light floors without having to fear for face deletion. Apart from a straight or smooth sphere, it is also possible to extend even more on this. For example, by using triangles in combination with light floors, we can add ridges, angles and such to the sphere. It is all up to your imagination. Now, before we go on, for the ones that rather would build a dome instead of a sphere, the technique remains quite similar. I have a small setup here where I can show you how to do this. If you recall, when we were building a sphere, we glitched a floor on the center and then connect floors following the wire and then 90 degrees to the right side of it. Now, if we would do that, we would create a sideways dome. Now we want a upwards dome, so we need to change the technique a little bit. So let us delete the floors here and add a few floors on the top. Now, if we continue doing this on each wire, we will create a straight up dome. So let me quickly speed this up. Now for the last wire, we can bring the floor over in 3 directions, which we will close off the dome completely. Something else you should take into account when you are building a dome on an existing build. As the use of this technique results the biodome to drop the center down a bit, the final dome will also be lower and might merge into your build. To avoid this, we can raise the floor by 4 pavings and then create a new circle, which will be the basic 4R wire scaffolding. Doing that will have your dome connect to the original flooring. Again, if you plan on using the light floors for the dome, you must reconsider building a full dome, but build a half dome on each side of the circle. As you can see, both connectors aim in the same direction of this dome. Glitching floors on these will result in floors not lining up properly. Therefore, it's wiser to build half a dome per side. If you are planning on finishing the dome with cubes, then you can of course build a complete dome. Alright, let me just go and finish up my sphere, and once I'm almost done, I will be back with you to see the end result. Now you can see now that this sphere looks very nice in shape, created out of 32 sides, but also the shape is 32 sides up and down. That means that this sphere is perfectly round. Now if you would compare this with the facta or Olo curve, you will always have a little bit of a egg shape. Now this technique will give you the perfect round sphere. Anyway, with that said, I hope you enjoyed this technique and I will see some of these spheres soon in the No Man's Sky verse. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to check out some of my other content, as there is a lot you'll probably enjoy as well. Other than that, this was Beeblebum and you have been watching How to Build in No Man's Sky. Goodbye for now. Remember that if you like my content and you want to support what I do here on my channel, there are several ways to do so. You can donate by clicking the link in the banner of my channel or the description of this video. If you prefer merch, you can find some sweet looking t-shirts, mugs and other stuff in my Teespring shop. Or simply subscribe, leave a like and comment. If you want to see more, click one of the tiles popping on the screen right now. Many thanks for your support.